You're watching Football Friday. Mark is next. KDFC. Go Dell!
And the crowd goes wild. That music gets me going every time. Welcome to Week 4 of Football Friday, brought to you by Pizza Ranch, home of the Fun Zone. I'm Mark Ovenden.
How am I supposed to follow you singing? I can't follow that up. I'm Zach Borg. We have highlights from 9 different games tonight, so sit back and enjoy the show. We promise Mark won't sing too much.
Don't make promises you can't keep. We start at the home of the Arrows, where Watertown had a big challenge tonight. That's where Paul Heinert was, as the top team in 11 AAA came to town fresh off that President's Bowl win over Roosevelt. Paul?
Yeah, Mark, I didn't know I had just walked into a karaoke show, but thank you. The Arrows knew they would have their hands full with the Lincoln Patriots tonight, and that's not the only thing they had their hands full with. Every mosquito in Cottington County was at this field tonight. Thank you to the gentleman on the sidelines who sprayed me with some off. It made it tolerable. Sloppy first half for the Patriots. They would lose the fumble on their opening drive. Check this out. Deflection by Dalton Jones. Hunter Wookie with the incredible catch. That kept the drive alive. That led to a 35-yard field goal. The Arrows take the lead. That would be their only lead of the game, 3-0 at that point. All Patriots from then on. Isaiah Roach to Nickel Myers. Great name, great catch. Few plays later, Roach again, this time to Lee Ransom. Walks in for the touchdown. That made it 7-3. Lincoln goes on to roll 35-3.
But it was closer than that score would indicate.
It was.
The top team in 11 AA is Brookings, and crazy action here to start the second half. Now watch this. It looked like a field goal attempt. It was, but it's picked up. It is picked up by Carter Malum, and he goes 80 yards for the touchdown. We are all tied up at 20-20 in the third quarter, but then Brandon Valley gets the passing game going. That was quite the licking on that catch there by Isaiah Gulbert. Jake Como, great game tonight. He gets inside the Bobcat 20, and then he goes for the touchdown pass. He had a bunch of those tonight as the Lynx, I don't want to call this an upset because they've got a great team, but a wild game at Coughlin tonight. Your final score, 41-34 in favor of Brandon Valley. Now, Chad Stathem's team was looking for its first win tonight as Washington hosted Rapid City Stevens on homecoming. Watch breaking out of the pile. This is Rasheed Benton. He's going to come out of the scrum. Where's 7? There he is. He's going to go to the corner of the end zone, and the hometown fans, they're going nuts up in the stands. That's going to be a great homecoming, right? Well, it was. Jake Skelhouse with a pass to Austin Lindemann all the way down to the 1-yard line, setting up a Robbie touchdown. It's 14-0. They scored on a 1-yard run. They also scored on a long one. This is Benton to the outside, number 7. Turn on the afterburners, Rasheed. Go. Down the sidelines. That is 91 yards for a touchdown by Rasheed Benton. It is 21-0 at that point, and then right before the end of the half, it's going to be Chaden Fitzsimmons with a 22-yard cutback, cut to the outside, cut back again. He goes in the end zone on 4th and 2, made it 28-0. The final score, 47-7. Washington gets its first win. Again, Lincoln wins 35-3. Brandon Valley 41-34. O'Gorman had trailed 17-6. The Governors tied it on a field goal in the final seconds, but the Knights win it in overtime on a touchdown, 26-23. That Yankton-Aberdeen game, in a weather delay, Aberdeen leading down in Yankton. Roosevelt up 45-0. We hope to have some highlights of that for you tomorrow. Mitchell leading Spearfish 42-0 in the third. And how about Douglas? They are undefeated at this point, 19-6.
On to the 11A ranks, where West Central is clearly the team to beat. They were in Lennox on a beautiful night, although we had a lot of the same bug problems Paul was having too. Scoreless late in the first when Jace Hanisch finally will get in on some second effort. It's 7-0 after 1. Then in the second, Kent Mueller's team really gets it rolling. Cody Bussell, speaking of second effort, 3-yard touchdown. That makes it 14-0. After a Lennox 3-and-out, they were trying to stop this Trojan attack, and well, that's tough to do. Hanisch, 20 yards to Bussell, same combo that worked for that title-winning touchdown a year ago. That made it 21-0. And then just before the break, Hanisch, this may be a little more typical, setting up the screen. Seth Titus does the rest. Nice little hurdle there. Yeah. He's in. It's 28-0 at that point. It was all West Central. They win by a final of 49-6.
Now the third-ranked Warriors of Del Rapids were at home against Milbank on this game, and I'll tell you what, they were in charge in the game tonight. This is Riley Schmidt. A second touchdown of the game makes it 13-0 in favor of the Qs. Schmidt would not be done, though. He had a huge game. 5 carries, 131 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was a 68-yarder. Tanner Lundgren says, I can do that too. He rips off a 43-yard touchdown, makes it 30-0. And how about some defense? They're going to get a sack right here. Andrew Wibiga drops the quarterback for a big loss, and Sam White is going to take the sweep for a short touchdown. It was 44-0 at halftime, and the Couriers rolled to a win tonight. 51-0 was your final. Now, our game of the night was in Clark, where the unbeaten Cardinals of Deuel paid a visit to the Cyclones. Max Jensen was there and has a recap of tonight's game.
Hey there, guys. Well, this turned out to be a crazy game with a great ending. Both teams going back and forth, each having a lead with under a minute to go in the fourth quarter. Clark was celebrating their 84th homecoming, and this was the second homecoming game in 2 weeks for Clark Willow Lake. Into the first quarter, Cooper Gates finds Lance Eide for 34 yards through the air, leads to a 1-yard Jordan Lovered TD. 8-0 in favor of Deuel. Into the second quarter, Gates hands off to Eide for 2 yards for the score. Caps off a 17-play, 96-yard drive, 16-0 in favor of the Cardinals. Clark Willow Lake would find their way as Tyson Jenkins has a 22-yard prayer of a pass to Rory Forrest for the touchdown. Deuel up 8, 16-8. More Cyclones after an interception and under a minute to go in the first half. Jenkins finds Forrest again in the end zone for 6. 12 yards out, 16-14 Deuel at the half. Fourth quarter, Cyclones down 4. Jenkins drops back and finds Dylan Miles for 56 yards and the score and the lead. Comeback complete. Cyclones up 2 on homecoming night, but Deuel has a chance with only 16 seconds left. Gate finds Eide in the end zone for the game-winning touchdown, and the Cardinals remain unbeaten on the season.
Just get the ball to your playmakers. That's pretty much what the play call was there. Isolate him and throw it up, and he came up with a great play.
Once again, Deuel comes in on the road and beats Clark Willow Lake on their home field, 32-26. In Clark, Max Jensen, KDLT Sports.
Thank you, Maxwell. The Parker Pheasants rolled out the welcome mat for Irene-Wakonda tonight. They also rolled out all the bugs, as we've mentioned a couple of times. 4th and 5 in the third quarter for Parker. Look at Landon Lieberman, poised, calm, and hits Cordell Buick for a 1st and goal. Now, the Eagles were trying to hold things up on their end. Brian Canistota not fooled by the misdirection. He'll get the sack and force a loss back to the 20-yard line, so that makes it 4th and goal from the 20. You're not going to convert that, right? Right?
Well, I think when things are going well, you will.
That's a good call. Lieberman to Zach Anderson, who makes a cut. He'll angle and get into the end zone. All Parker, 44-6.
Now, in one of the potential games of the night, at least on paper, Canistota was at unbeaten Menno-Marion. They are unbeaten no more. The visitors still are, as Shea Jolly drops back and throws to Drew Suberton. It's a 63-yard touchdown on that play. That made it 14-0. Still in the first quarter, Jared Nielsen runs to the sideline, breaks a tackle, and gets all the way down to the 1-yard line. He is a fine running back, bouncing off the tacklers and almost scoring, and then he would take it in from 5 yards out. That makes it 22-0 in favor of the Hawks that win 54-6 your final.
The Freeman Flyers had enough healthy players for homecoming after having to forfeit last Friday at Canistota. They hosted Corsica Stickney. This is Clayton Minning getting the lead off, and he'll get into the end zone. This makes it 30-12 in favor of the visitors. They've got the ball a little bit later. Going to get a fumble on Freeman. Zachary Roth will fall on it. Freeman couldn't get anything out of the drive as Corsica Stickney goes on to win by a final of 46-18. Good to see Freeman, though, just having players.
Woonsocket, hey, these guys are having a great year. 58-20. They are still undefeated. One of the best teams in the state. There's your Deer Rapids score again, 51-0. Schmidt, pretty good numbers there on only 5 carries. Gregory, 79-0. The Gorillas undefeated. Stanley County outscoring White River 48-34. Phillip beats Hill City tonight. It was Sioux Falls Christian putting 64 points on the board. That has to be a school record as they win by 50 points. Alcester Hudson's got a powerful team as they win 48-12. A couple of 50-0 scores there with Harriet Selby and Ipswich Edmond Central both winning. Kimball Whitelake 61-0. Parkston plays winner next week. That's going to be a great game. The Trojans 4-0, ranked number 1. Tri-State beats Wabash Summit. Parker, as you saw the highlights, 44-6. It was Avon over Trip Delmont Armor. Howard's Luke Loudenberg had 7 touchdowns
Oh,
and 261 yards rushing in the game tonight, 73-36. They are really good. Hamlin undefeated. The Chargers 54-12. Madison having a great year, 48-12 there. West Central still undefeated, ranked number 1. You saw the highlights. Dakota Valley beats EPJ. Arlington undefeated at 4-0. Good night for the Cardinals because Deuel also won. 32-26. You saw those highlights. Scotland wins by 50 tonight. Roncalli's undefeated. The Cavs at 4-0. Del Rapids St. Mary, like I said, good night for the Cardinals. They win 44-28. Bennett County over Red Cloud. T Area and Canistota, the Hawks, still undefeated. Groton Area and Potter County both win tonight, along with Laverne over New Ulm. Marshall beats Jackson County Central. It was Pipestone shutting out St. Peter. I believe they play Laverne next week. Central Lyon 43-0. Sioux Center ranked 4 in the state in Iowa with a big win tonight. Sioux Valley over Flandreau. It was Desmet Iroquois winning big. Wilmot over Great Plains Lutheran. Hills Beaver Creek beating Westbrook Walnut Grove 52-12. We hope you enjoyed our show tonight. Have a great weekend.